The Atomic Real Estate Show, bringing you the real estate of real estate. Brought to you by Danny Bennett Productions in partnership with Direct Subs.
This episode is brought to you by NEF General Contracting. NEF General Contracting is your go-to for all your local roofing needs. Local roofers serving the Philadelphia, PA region and South Jersey. Residential and commercial roofing. NEF General Contracting provides roof repair, roof replacement, maintenance, roof coatings, and 24/7 emergency roofing services. We install energy-efficient shingles from Owens Corning, GAF, TPO, and offer EPDM rubber roofs. Gutters and downspouts installation, window replacement, siding installation. NEF is the only roofing and exterior contractor that is allowed to work on my properties. You can reach NEF General Contracting at 267-690-4901 or nefgeneralcontracting.com.
Ryan Dolan here, back with another episode of the Atomic Real Estate Show. We got Nick Cessna and we have our friend Jordan Katz from Dime Properties. What's going on, Jordan? How are you?
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good. Jordan, Nick just met, but Jordan and I have known each other for quite some time. And Jordan, I've known you as a real estate investor and then a real estate agent. So tell us what's going on about Dime Properties, because what the show we heavily focus on here is kind of just real estate in any form, right? And obviously what we like most, and a lot of our viewers like most, is how do you get started? And I mean step one, right? Like,
for sure.
You'd be surprised how many people call us and feedback we get as far as like, just tell me the basic. Tell me like I have to do this step one.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Taking a deep step back. So I went to Penn State, studied finance there. I graduated in 2009. So
nice.
As you could imagine, 2009 was probably the hardest time to ever have a finance degree ever.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a job, but day one, walked into my job. I was working on Wall Street, kind of doing like middle office stuff. And day one, I realized very quickly that corporate America was not for me. And it's funny because I spent 7 years in corporate America. So, what does that say, right? Kind of got stuck and, just struggled to finally rip the Band-Aid off and go full time. But, I quit my job in 2017, but taking a step back. So worked on Wall Street for a few years, lived in New York. I grew up in Bucks County in Ben Salem. So always kind of had this allegiance to Philly, lived in Philly, and just kind of knew I always wanted to do real estate, but I wasn't going to be able to do it in New York. I just didn't have the contacts, didn't have the capital.
It's just a different animal, right? We've actually had quite a bit of people on the show from
a lot of money
that Manhattan area and that have worked in, JP, wherever it is, these big firms on Wall Street, and they're out. That's the common theme with every person that has worked there. They are out, and they said, how can I do this myself, right? So you said New York's a different animal, right? You feel like you need to have a billion contacts, tons of money, so you pivot back to the area.
Yeah, so I kind of knew I worked at Goldman Sachs for a few years. Did that for 2 years. Kind of always knowing like, hey, just get it on my resume, make some money.
Goldman right after 08, 09.
Yeah, luckily
people must love you.
I interned there, and honestly, like they didn't hire a lot of my interning class, but schmoozed my way in, and I'm a good schmoozer. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so did that for 2 years. Kind of always knowing I wanted to come back to Philly. Started networking through like my Penn State network or other people. Met up with my dad's buddy who he was leasing office space in Center City. And we had lunch one day and he was like, listen, like you have a financial background. Like, why don't you work for like a REIT, and you can kind of keep that, but then learn the real estate business and then maybe do some stuff on your own. So, looked at every REIT in the area. I actually got a job at this company called Liberty Property Trust.
Yeah. Tell us what REIT is, because it actually comes up more times than you want. So for the person that doesn't listen.
Yeah. It stands for Real Estate Investment Trust.
Okay.
So it's a publicly traded kind of company where they raise money via their stock and then they deploy that into big assets. So at Liberty, I was buying warehouses all over the country, which was really cool. And then we were selling offices all over the country. So they had kind of started like this vintage 80s office product, kind of like, the old dentist office you'd see that they turned into an office. So they were peeling that off, selling that, and getting into industrial heavy. This was like kind of the rise of Amazon and all those companies. So,
oh, wow.
I mean, it was really cool. I was there for 5 years, but, to be able to, like, I was writing $50 million offers on a warehouse in Dallas, which was really cool. But again, it was at a desk job. I was in a cube, crunching numbers.
At the end of the day, it's like, hey, that was super transactional. It
Exactly.
didn't really mean shit. But I
Exactly.
mean, you wet your beak. You probably learned a ton about acquisition, how
Exactly.
money moves, the financing world, and the real estate world in different parts of the country.
Totally. Not only did I learn real estate, but I learned business, right?
Yeah.
Like I worked directly for the acquisitions team who we rolled up to the chief investment officer. And he was just like a seasoned, 40 years in the business. And I would literally just listen to him call people, and learn how to talk, learn how to send emails. So I always say, like, I spent too long in corporate America, but I did benefit a lot from
because you see how things work, right?
Right.
And like we always go to an argument of like people returning back to work. I think office culture is critical in our world, right? Because you see how people move,
Totally.
you see how they negotiate, you see things, other different sales pitches, different angles, different point of views, which is fascinating, right? Because you're up on Wall Street, and that's one way of looking at
Right.
things. And now you're coming back down to Philly. Which markets are they similar? Are they not similar? Tell me a little bit about the difference.
So in New York, I wasn't doing a lot of real estate,
Okay.
right? So networked a ton, but it was like, oh, how much money do you have?
Yeah.
So when I moved back to Philly, I was kind of just like bouncing around. I lived with my sister for a little bit, went back home. But I knew the goal was like save as much money as I can to buy a place.
Where
right?
did you live in New York when you were there?
I lived in Hoboken for a little bit.
So
I was
outside in Jersey.
Different neighborhoods within the city in different periods. So I was in Soho for a little while.
What was your average rent that you were paying up there?
So we got creative. So we had a place that was a 3-bedroom in Hoboken, great location, like a big building. I think the rent was like $2,600 for a 3-bedroom. Not terrible.
Oh.
And
you split that with two other finance guys.
Two other guys. We made it even more affordable. We turned the living room into like an extra bedroom. You can like do these. It's crazy in New York. It's so expensive. You can build like a temp wall basically in a doorway. So we framed out the dining room, not the living room. And my buddy lived there. And then we, split $2,600 4 ways. So it was like very affordable.
So you were making a lot more money than
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't making like crazy Wall Street buku bucks, right? But I was making enough to save a little bit.
I was going to say the goal is what, to live and save enough cash to
A little
start
bit.
getting
I
to
mean,
where
also, my
You're
bar
partying.
tab was a
Yeah,
little
you're
high.
partying.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
you're a Penn State guy.
Yeah.
We totally get it.
Yeah. So, did that, but always tried to like be financially diligent of just like, don't spend stupidly, don't get a nice car, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm not.
You don't even need a
knocking
car
anyone
up
who's
there, right?
doing that. In New York, I didn't.
Yeah.
When I moved back, I bought a used Honda and, was driving out to, my job was in Malvern. So not only did I live in Philly, drive to Malvern, so I was doing like over an hour each way. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But I always kind of knew like this was the goal, right? The plan was in place. So I started like really studying real estate. Bigger Pockets was kind of like my Bible. I don't know if you guys,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
your listeners know it, but it's, it's an online investment platform for newbies, experienced people. So I was listening to that every day on my drive, the podcast, like back and forth. And then read Rich Dad Poor Dad, kind of read that in college, reread it. And that was like, the precipice of like,
Yeah.
gotta start buying
Rich Dad,
assets.
Poor Dad. Read the book. I've probably read it 2 or 3 times. It scares the shit out of you, but it'll definitely.
Best
I'll
book
I'll
I've ever
occasionally go on a morning walk and I'll be like, you know what, I need a little reminder.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. And that's a good one where you're exercising, like doing something stupid like walking.
Totally.
Which is great for fat burning for my fat ass. So you go walk hills, you pop that on, and you just get lost in the time. And what's it, Robert Kiyosaki is the guy.
What's cool about Rich Dad Poor Dad too, obviously, like there's some real estate that they touch on, but it's really like
Life lessons
and
Yeah.
financial guidance and independence. And it's like, you think about the shit that they teach in schools, right? And it's like, why aren't they teaching us this?
Yeah.
Right. Why aren't they teaching us how to buy assets and shed expenses?
Because they don't want you to.
Yeah, exactly.
They want you
So-
to be good little lemmings and good little employees.
Well, the
what-
good news is
that's what
now
they
with
want.
social media and all the information out there, now that mold's breaking out, right? It's
Sure.
like the traditional way of thinking. To your point, yeah, of course they want you to know a little bit, just not enough
Yeah.
to acquire, right?
Exactly.
So you go out, you're self-starting up, you get to Wall Street, you say, screw it, I'm out. I want to go back. I saved enough scratch up. I did the hard work. How do you start the company? Like, what was your first rental? What was your first flip? What was your buy?
So really what I wanted to do was like identify where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that was like talking to people, learning different neighborhoods in Philly. My sister had lived in Passyunk in South Philly. It was a little too high of a barrier for me to get into there. So started talking to people. Everybody's like, you should go check west of Broad Street in Point Breeze. So that was kind of like the buzz area at the time.
What year was this?
2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I was basically like every weekend, like getting out, and walking the streets, talking to people, going to block parties, like getting to know people, really getting the ins and outs of. And that's what you got to do. You got to put in the legwork, literally.
Yeah.
So I started like understanding the blocks. And then I had an agent at the time. He wasn't great, but he set me up on a search where any house in Point Breeze that went under contract or was newly listed, I knew about it. And over a year, it just gave me like this crazy data subset of like, what's a deal, what's not a deal, you know? So when my first house came, it was listed. They listed it for 90 grand. It was a 16-foot wide house. So I knew it was like wide and big. And I went there and I was like, my numbers are telling me this thing's worth like $130. And I was like, this is a fucking deal.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the day after I went, they raised the price to 120 because it was a deal. Yeah. There was like 50 people at that.
So that lower purchase price obviously drove up the price, and then you're getting a quick taste of like shit.
Yeah.
Other guys,
and it was
were
competitive.
Yeah, you're in the big leagues, right?
And like you talked about, like, you know, how do you start? Like, imagine how terrifying it is for me going in with like my agent and, you know, a little notebook, and then I see guys with like flashlights and fucking real tools, like inspecting the property. I had no idea what I was doing.
Sure.
And then just making straight cash offers.
Yeah, exactly. But I trusted my numbers. I thought it was worth 130. I think I offered 125, and I got the house. You know,
wow.
It was a great piece. We were initially just planning on doing the kitchen and the bathroom. Ran into a buddy of mine who had some experience like being a GC, and he's got a really unique story, but he's like, I heard you bought a house. I want to check it out. After he looked at it, he was like, dude, this is a great shell. Like, great. Like, he's like, let's flip this whole fucking thing. So I was like, you know what? There's no better way to learn. He was willing to help me. So it was crazy, man. Like, we started the demo on a weekend. I came back from Malvern one day on like a Monday afternoon. Like, the house was pretty much gutted. And I was like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? You know? But, you know, I like to say in this business, it's like you get into a problem and that's all we got to do is just solve the next problem. You know, my wife always says that. Like, when I'm up at night tossing and turning, she's like, no, like, think about what can you control tomorrow morning, wake up and fucking do it. You know? So the house was already demoed. I wasn't going to sell it at that point. So it took a very long time with me and my buddy. We were swinging hammers, doing a lot of the work.
Yeah,
and
trying to cut corners, save cost, of course.
I'm not handy. I got these little Jewish hands, and yeah, dude. But you know, at the end of the day, it was like, talk about putting in the legwork. Like, I was going over there at 5 a.m., sweeping up, getting shit like cleaned, and then going back late at night after work at 7 p.m. and like cutting tile, whatever I had to do, you know. But after 9 months, we gutted the whole house, renovated it, and then my wife was like, this house is amazing. We should probably move here, you know. So we ended up moving there. But my mortgage payment was like under $1,000, you know. I was splitting it with her, saving a ton of money.
Incredible.
You know? And that was the first one I ever bought. Bought it in my name, so that's important too. So I did put like the 20% down or whatever. We still own that house today. My mortgage payment's $1,100. We have it rented for over $2,000.
Oh, wow.
I bought it for $125. We put in about $50, and it's probably worth $350 to $400 today.
Now, did you utilize, as a startup investor, as a novice investor, did you utilize that cash next to kind of jump into any property?
Perfect segue, right?
Yep.
And basically, I bought that for $125, and then I had, let's say, $50,000 of my own money aside from that saved. Use that money to kind of fund the rehab. Also was like, dude, getting scrappy where it was like Home Depot credit cards, whatever
you had to do.
Just figuring it out. But
how long did you live there?
We were there 3 years.
Okay.
And it's transitioned greatly since I've owned it. But basically we bought it, and then my dad's a CPA. So when I went to refi it, it appraised for like $2-something at the time, $250. And I was getting a check back for like $80,000. And I called my dad. Yeah, 50 of that was the rehab, but still I'm making some money here.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my dad and I was like, Dad, how much tax do I owe on this? And he's
nothing.
Like, nada. And I was like, that was the light bulb moment for me.
Oh, wow.
Like, I always read about it, but then like when you have a check for $80,000, and granted, most of it was paying myself back.
Sure.
But you get a check like that and you're not paying tax on it. It's like, how do I fucking
how do we continue to do this?
Yeah. So really that just like set my mind in motion. I knew that area really well. They were renovating a park at 21st and Tasker. I don't know. And Connor Barwin used to play for the Eagles.
Yeah, of course.
He was involved with like this build. And I remember calling my agent. It was a different buddy at the time because he was newly licensed. And I was like, dude, if you can find me a shell within like a 3-block radius of this, I want to buy it. You know, literally 2 weeks later, this house comes on the market, $100K. We went in. It like was in really good shape. It cosmetically needed a lot. There was a huge hole in the ceiling from where rain and shit was pouring in, but they fixed the roof. They did the hard work. So
Yeah.
we just had to patch the drywall. So I got it under contract, a little bit under 100. Cash offer. I used like every penny I had.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I got it inspected for informational purposes, and the inspector was like, dude, this is a phenomenal house. Like new central air, new wiring.
Jesus Christ.
He was like, I'll buy this from you right now for 130. And I had it for like, let's say 100. So I could have made 30.
You could have
right
wholesale
there.
it right
30
there to him.
racks
Yeah.
right there, right? But I knew, I was like, if he's saying that, there's got to be something here.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So really just kind of was like my goal is to acquire assets and buy rentals. So I said to him, look, thank you, but no. Bought it, put 15 grand into it. It was like floors and paint. Really easy.
Wow.
Patch the drywall. Bought it for 100, put 15 and it appraised for 200 right there. So same thing, just did that Burr model, which I learned from Bigger Pockets. Refied that, made some money there, and then I had my second asset. That was my first rental. We rented that at the time.
That's when you could do Burr. Like
Exactly.
right now, it's like
Yeah.
it's like
Right now
virtually
it's impossible.
impossible. Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really hard. I still do it on some multis that I can convert, which we can get into that too.
Mm-hmm.
But that at the time, you know, my mortgage payment there is $900. I rented it for $1,250. Now we have it rented for $1,800. You know, so we're making great cash flow on these, paying down my mortgages, get the tax benefits. So it's like, it's just.
So
it's
you
an
knew this is
amazing-
where you had to be, right? Because
Totally.
the benefits were there. Again, you're a great networker, right? I see you all over the city. We've met each other at tons of real estate events. So as you're kind of doing this model, and to your point, like the market shift, right? Like now what you were doing 10 years ago doesn't work.
Does not
There's
work.
no acquisitions at 100K. There's no paint jobs and renos at 15K anymore, right? So like
that deal, like I don't want to mislead.
That
your
was the grand
listeners.
slam of
that
the
was a
yeah.
very unique unicorn.
But
Yeah.
I mean, most of us have those grand slam moments to kind of say like, hey, I'm going to get in here. You may chase it the rest of your career. You may realize, hey, this was the grand slam, but now I can go all singles.
Totally.
So as you know,
You only get those if you're in the game, though.
exactly. You
100%.
just
You're
got to
pulling
be
the trigger.
And your point, you didn't have any money. You were taking one credit card to pay off the other credit card,
Yeah,
a
man.
store card to pay off this. Yeah, and we do it to kind of because you knew the numbers at the end. Like that's the biggest piece for most guys. Like if you don't know anything about real estate, just get a kind of baseline on the numbers. And if you
Totally.
don't know the numbers, talk to somebody that does know them, right? Because we always stress the acquisition, the money's in the acquisition. But if you don't know where to buy or acquire, then you don't know your numbers,
Totally.
right? Like
you got to know the areas, you got to know the blocks. The other thing too was like you mentioned networking. Like I was doing that the second I moved back to Philly.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was finding the players, the realtors, whoever it was. And it's funny, that house, the second one we bought, the first rental, Jim Robertson was the agent. He's a huge agent.
of course, I know
huge
Jim.
investor. He and I had gotten coffee like 2 months before, just because like I heard he was a beast. And when I called him, like, dude, I want to buy this one, or my agent called him, it was like kind of a no-brainer. So like, I'm always like, I get so many calls these days or so many emails like, hey, I want to do this, I want to learn. And I used to help everybody. I still try to help as many
Sure.
people as I can. But it's like, you can't just say you want to do it because you see what kind of lifestyle you live or what kind of money you make. You got to put in the legwork, you know?
Yeah.
So I really did that. And yeah, it was networking, like 100%, you know?
And that's how we met. And again, the guys that I work with, Kyle and Ryan, your whole sphere. I mean, these guys are from not from this. They didn't grow up in Philly, right? But they hang together, they do business together, and these are brilliant, brilliant people from all different universities that have merged in the Philly scene,
Totally.
and really like created all their own different businesses. Whether I know you do practice your hand in selling and buying real estate as well for the Rarity team.
Yep.
But like, I mean, everybody seems to have multiple different skill sets in our
Totally.
real estate field for sure. Like all lenders are just not lenders. Right?
Yeah.
It's like we're real estate investors, we're developers. We try to do our hand in anything. So
Sounds like you had a good support system though too. It sounds
Definitely.
like
Yeah.
you mentioned your wife's super like supportive of
Totally.
you,
And that
then,
to me, like,
and then your dad is a CPA.
Yeah.
So, like, at first when you first were mentioning it, like doing it, did they give you pushback or were they like, no, let's do
dude,
this?
it's so funny you asked. That's a great question. So my dad, he had owned like a few places, nothing crazy, but like he's a CPA, right? So he
So
sees
he's
a lot of
very
people's
conservative
books. Yeah,
with his
very
stuff.
conservative. But like his boy called him once and he was like, yo, I can get you this house in King Sessing for $8,000. Now this was in the 90s, you
Yeah.
know, but my dad's like, all right, paid in cash and rented it for $600. That thing paid itself over 20 times.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So he knew how to pick up a good deal. So he probably had like 4 or 5 units, but was always an entrepreneur. He's a CPA, but he has his own business. So I would see that, right? I would see the lifestyle he lives. I would see him go to a Birds tailgate at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, right? I'd see him go down the shore all summer. And like, that to me was like, I want that life. I'm not trying to clock in and out at a job, right? So
sit on Wall Street, get out of, you know, and then go to a
and
Wall
that was
Street
like,
happy hour at 5 o'clock, because that was your life.
Yeah, it was more like 9 o'clock, you know, like it was long hours, bro. So my dad was definitely supportive. My mom also, you know, helped. But my girlfriend at the time, she's now my wife, was like, number one, I will blindly support you. She signed on a lot of our loans early on, because when I left my job, she was able to help get us loans. And now it's totally full circle, right? Like 3 years ago, I said to her, like, we're starting to have kids. I live this incredible lifestyle where it's like I can go to lunch, I can go down the shore early, I don't have to answer.
You come to a podcast at 1 p.m.
Exactly.
on a Thursday.
And then we go right down.
Exactly. We're going down to the tailgate, right? But what's awesome is like I realized this amazing lifestyle, but then my wife was clocking in. She worked for Urban Outfitters, like corporate.
Nice.
So I said to her at one point, I was like, let's start thinking about how we get you into the business, right? So she left her job 2 years ago. She works alongside me now, and that's not for everybody. Some people can work with their spouse.
No,
Jen,
it
and
is
Jen and Nick
fucking
do
not.
the same
Right.
thing. I'm trying to have Jen teach my wife to do some bookkeeping, but it's, you know, for my wife doesn't want to get into it. So, and now I'm starting to think, well, maybe it's a little better to keep it separate.
probably-
But
Some people work well with their spouse, some people don't, and that's fine, right? For us, it was kind of twofold. It was like I could see what was happening. COVID hit. We had our first son, and you know he has to get picked up from daycare, and Dad, who has the flexible schedule, would have to leave a meeting and go get him, right? So that I was like, Jewel, her name's Julie. At some point, like I'm going to be the breadwinner here and I can't be leaving these meetings, right? So we saw kind of the writing on the wall. We had our second son, and I just said, like, look, while we loved her salary and we loved her benefits, like if we're ever going to take this risk, now's the time to do it. The second benefit, aside from like her getting flexibility, I had a lot of tasks that I didn't want to do anymore. And I said to her, I was like, look, you're going to be on the phone with Pico half the day, you know, but it's a waste of my time.
But it's an hour of your day that you could be out prospecting.
Yeah.
This all sounds very familiar.
So if you can leave like the high, you know, dollar tasks to me and help with a little bit more of the admin stuff, it's just going to help grow the business. Right. So now we have about 50 units, about 30 ourselves, and then we have like 20 with some partners. But Julie manages all our rental properties. So she's dealing with the tenants. She's doing the leases. She was doing the leasing last year. We've kind of subbed that out now because I didn't really want her going to some of these neighborhoods.
You went through the same
exact. We have a really similar background.
Your background is
like
extremely similar.
My wife has multiple degrees, and I was like, just come work for me.
Yeah.
Right. And she was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking work for you. I'll work with you.
And
I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, like like I get it.
But
cool.
she was the one that kind of pushed his ass. He was in law enforcement before, and she pushed him out of like the law enforcement field because she saw what talent he had, right? Like how he can get on the phone, how he could talk somebody down on an acquisition price, like. You know, the skills are there, and if your partner is going to be your partners, they're going to know that, right?
Totally.
That's probably how you got them, right?
It's tough though. Like I don't recommend it to people like going into business with your spouse because you bring it home,
totally.
Right? And so like we would get home and she would be like, I'd be like, what's your problem? She's like, what the fuck do you mean? What's my problem? Do you know what the fuck, how you were talking to me and how, like, I'm like, that's business.
Yeah, we're home now.
I'm like, we're home. Like, you're my wife here. Like, what do you mean?
Totally.
Like, you know? So like, it was a lot of learning lessons for me. And, I will say though that going through all those tough times, all those arguments, all that stuff because of business and, you know, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul and fucking all the stuff, I'm stressing her out, stretching everything, you know, thin. And, it now where we're at now, it made us so much closer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like it's we're a fucking team. It's us.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's us now. Like the word like divorce doesn't even fucking exist in my house. It's like,
I don't even...
like if you're upset with me, like, well, you better find a way to fucking deal with it because we're together forever. Now. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is.
Well, you made a good point of like, we gradually did it, right? So for me, it was such a stressful business. Like, and you know, early on you're like, where am I going to get the money to finish this? Is this contractor going to show? There's just so many question marks, right? So I would vent to my wife. So she was almost like my therapist for a while. And then it became like, oh, this tenant didn't pay or this tenant's bitching about this. So at some point she knew the tenant's
She already knew so much about the business from hearing it.
So it was like a natural transition. And again, I put a list out of like, this is the shit I don't like to do. I don't want to do. I'm going to train you how to do it. And now I'm teaching her, tell me the shit you don't want to do, and we'll hire a VA to do, you know? So that's how we're like.
Which people hear that and they think of it like, oh man, I can't believe you would like give all your busy work. It's not that. That's delegation of tasks, right? To make your business scale. That's how we look at it. Like if you're on the phone with Pico for 3 hours a day, how many hours a week? How many hours a month? How many deals have you lost?
Well, time is your most valuable thing. Man.
And you can't hire.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, that's what we look at it. And people always say like, oh man, you made your wife do that, or your wife. I'm like, no, that's what she's good at, right?
And also,
like,
she's very operational.
Sure.
Not to make this all about my wife.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the rock star.
Yeah.
Of course,
but,
that's right.
We can't do what we do without them.
No, for sure.
Without
and
it, like,
really, like for her mindset was like, look, I'd rather spend 3 hours on the phone with Pico if I can be home doing laundry, getting the kids ready for school, whatever. It's that flexibility of not answering to anybody, but kind of me, you know, but we answer to each other. Like now we're at a point where I don't talk to any tenants. They don't even know who I am. Really, she runs, that's her business. The rental properties are her business. You know, I get them all built. And once we get a CO and cleaned, it's on her to lease them.
Whenever I would go to properties, right, I would just be like, oh, hey, I'm maintenance. Miss Jen sent me here.
Right.
They don't even know.
Yeah, I don't like
that I'm the fucking owner.
Who I am, you know.
I just kept it like that, like, because, and then the other thing too is you kind of build a rapport with tenants, like just from being there, right? And they'll talk shit.
Oh yeah.
So then you're like, hey, this person's unhappy with this. All right, cool. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
always my move. I'm like,
to
yo, I know Julie's like, you know, you're new with Julie. How's it been going with it?
Yeah.
And they're always very complimentary. Yeah. So, yeah, I call her my COO, and she really is, like, in life and in business. But for us, we always had this mindset of like, I've built my business around my life, you know, and that sounds so like cliche and kind of corny.
It doesn't though, because a lot of people don't have the freedom to do what they, you know, that we do, and they don't understand what they think it all looks like. Hey, you're just having a fun time.
Totally.
Like,
I mean, it's a grind.
There's the days that we don't ever want to get out in front of people and don't ever want to pick up the phone and don't ever want to go to network events. But it's like, that's tough, right?
Yeah,
it's
man.
like, and they'll push you out. What I like about it is, most, you asked the question, did your parents support you? Did your girlfriend at the time support you? It's like, how can you not, right? You see the momentum of all these doors and how it works and how it's freed up Jen's life and your wife's life. Like, they get to spend more time with their kids, right? That's all ultimately what the hell it's all about. It's like, you sit at work and you bitch, I can't do this, I can't do that. You just want to be home, living comfortably with your family, ultimately, most of us. So that's what I like most about real estate, right? It's like, there's more to it. It becomes a family affair pretty quickly, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And it frees up so much time for the others around you that you don't have to miss stuff if you do the business the right way.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
there's other people that don't do it right at all and don't have any time.
Yeah.
But yeah, now, I mean, I think we've always stressed the partnership, the wife aspect of things.
Well, it doesn't, look.
It doesn't go without
she or he,
it, right?
they don't need to work for you, with you, whatever.
As long as they're supporting
they
you.
need to be on board, right? So like when we were buying that house in Point Breeze, the biggest debate for us was like, do we feel safe going there to manage the rehab? You know, I was going at 5 a.m. Do I feel safe? And we were like on the fence there. But I said, look, we're not going to be able to do this in an A+ neighborhood. So we got to go to the B- neighborhood and try to make it work. Now, what I like about my portfolio is like, it's all pretty much South Philly. We're like, you know, we have a few in Fishtown, good areas, but like, I feel safe going there. I'd feel comfortable with her going there. So that definitely helps. But that, again, like, I realized very quickly how I wanted to build my business and what kind of tenants I wanted. So we've kind of just organically grown it. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to want a 50 employee company ever. You know, it's my wife. We might hire one other person to help. And then hopefully my kids want to take over the business one day. And we're going to keep it lean, you know, because I want to be able to take a vacation for a month and not have to answer to 20 employees.
And if the kids get older, they don't want the business, you can kind of pivot right out of it, right?
The business,
You're taking it.
No, I don't know.
You have no choice.
No,
You're taking
honestly,
over.
like, I don't want to push it on them, but I saw the lifestyle my
you
dad
see the
lived,
opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
and I hope they would see like the flexibility that we have, you know, and it's financially beneficial as well. So hopefully, I have 3 sons. Hopefully one of them wants to take over, but you never know.
Look, they're going to see mom and dad do it. And now they see both of you guys doing it.
Yeah.
So you're both in real estate. So that's all they see. That's all they're going to know.
Totally.
And I hope that happens for our kids as well. I certainly know it'll happen for Nick's. I mean, he has
he
has them in their video shoots. I mean, they sell half.
I have them involved and seeing what it takes to do stuff, but I'm in the mindset of like, and not that you're wrong in any way, shape, or form.
You don't hand it to them.
I don't know. I don't. I want my kids to do whatever they're passionate about.
Yeah, I feel you.
I want you to do whatever's going to make you happy. Like I tell my son all the time, like success. People try to measure success in how much physical assets you have and money you make and this and that. And I tell him all the time, like, dude, me and mommy are not like impressed by like money that you make.
Totally.
Like if you are the happiest person in the world and you're stocking shelves, working a 9 to 5, and you're living in an apartment, and that's you, man.
Yeah, I totally understand your point to that to some extent. But again, you have your name on it, right? You built that business from the ground up. You want to part of building that business, I think for most of us, is you want to be able to leave it behind to somebody that's going to take care of it or care about it the way you did. I mean, at least when I start some of my endeavors, that's kind of what I hope, right? Like, I want to be able to give something away that I'm proud of. And if it doesn't, the tangible asset doesn't mean shit to the person, at least it can help them in business some way, right? Like how to buy, sell.
I just don't want my kids to be spoiled little fucking assholes.
I know,
like I want them
think
to.
we spoil all of our
I mean,
kids.
we do spoil them, but I want them to see that it takes work.
Totally.
You know what I mean in this stuff. And me and Jen were talking about the other day, like you measure, like we measure success with children by this. If when we're adults. And when our kids are adults, if they want to spend time with us by their choice, then we were successful as parents.
Absolutely.
Like that's really all I'm focused on now. Like I don't really. I'm lucky enough because of the work that I put in.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing dollars anymore. I don't give a fuck about the money anymore.
Same.
It's about my time with my family and my happiness and my peace, and that's where I'm at right now. And I'm very lucky to have that. And I feel like that's the American dream.
Absolutely.
Right? And I want my kids to realize that on their own and then want to spend time with me when I'm older.
I struggled with that a lot, especially in our business, right? You go on social media and it's like
everybody's lighting the world on fire.
Bro,
Everybody's
22-year-old kids doing like hundreds of units. And I'm like, I've been at this 10 years, but I always.
Harrison is a thief of joy, man.
Yeah. I mean, first off, social media is
a joke.
Smoke and mirrors, right? But I realized like early on, I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, I want to build it how I want to build it, right? And again, like, I'm not scaling this to 50 employees. Like, I don't need to make $1 million, bro.
Yeah.
I want my time. I want to be able to go down the shore and not ask anybody time off, So really, like, every deal I do, it's building the business around my life, which is awesome, right? Like, I'm still able to walk to my kid's school 4:00 and pick them up in the afternoon if I want to, and I do that often.
Yeah. You mentioned like, hey, you want to cut out and go to an Eagles game with your dad. Your dad set that up. You probably, I mean, it's great that even decades later, you guys are still doing the same thing.
It's our favorite
because
tradition.
Of the philosophy. And a lot of people don't. Those guys that are doing 100, 120 transactions. What I always say about social media and that shit is you step back and think what you got. It's like, man, that other guy's probably killing for what you have right in your house, and you don't realize it. So
absolutely.
Screw, social media and real estate is like one of the craziest things of all time, right? It beats us up. It fucks with our psyche. But I mean, again,
so me and Danny are just doing nothing but funny, stupid videos now.
I know. Now Nick Cessna is the funny one doing funny videos,
great.
but no, really, I mean, but we all feel as passionate as you do about that freedom, right? Because you get into it. Look, we get into it from the money's obviously a part of it, but the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, and not listen to somebody micromanaging you each day. The only one that's micromanaging you is usually yourself or your wife. Right.
Yeah,
so it's like, and that's fine. But
it's such a cool business.
The quality of life is great, right? If you do it the right way.
And I'm a social dude. I like to party, right? So like there's that aspect of it too.
It's great.
And it's hard for me to say to my wife sometimes like, yo, I have the networking event at 6:00. Like you got to put the kids to bed tonight. But at the same time, normally if I go to one of those events, something beneficial will come from it.
I left at 8:30 this morning after I dropped my kids off, did workout. And I said, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for like most people are like, what? Like, I probably won't check in. Does it suck? Yeah. I mean, look, it stinks, but I'm doing 50 different.
You said probably.
Probably won't check in. But honestly, because she understands it. I've been with my wife now like almost 18 years,
It's a special place to have it for that
Yeah.
woman.
And it's like kind of, she gets it, right? Same thing.
Totally.
And I mentioned on the show, I came from a bartender background. So she was already preconditioned to that way anyway. She lived in the corporate life. I lived in the hospitality life. So now it's like an added benefit that I'm home all the time, or I can be home all the time.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
she understands when I'm out of the house, there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not just dicking around.
She
all
is the
the time.
perfect personality to deal with your stupid
I,
ass.
I don't know if she believes this stuff anymore, but it's the truth.
Quick story, like we're at a soccer tournament like last week and a weekend before, right? And I'm walking up with my girls and they're like, "Oh, there's the Dolan boys, his sons," and my wife like walks up to his wife and his wife doesn't even see my wife and she turns to her and she's like, "Oh, hey," she's like, "Where are the boys at?" And she's like, "They're in the tree." They're literally in a fucking tree, climbing a tree, and his wife's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's fucking hysterical.
My wife's a saint, but honestly, to your point, is like kind of the same way. My business doesn't operate without her, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have, if I was able to say that comment, like, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow," and she gave me shit, then I would feel terrible. I
Yeah.
wouldn't operate the same way out networking. So the peace at home is a big, factor of this. So now you guys have the business up.
Biggest factor.
It's the biggest of everything. So now you got 50 doors. Your wife's managing all of this.
Yeah.
Like, how does it flow at home? Like, is it just kind of run on its own now? How long is it taking to get there? Or, what's it look like?
So, like I said, I bought my first place in 14, and really first few years while I was still at this job at Liberty, I was just buying one a year, and that was my goal. Like, just buy one, fix it up, whatever.
Save up your money.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
spend a lot of money.
Take it back and live frugally.
Yeah.
I would still I'd go out a lot, but try to pregame a little bit more and whatever.
Smart.
And then I was like, I got to my late 20s. I was about to turn 30. We were about to get married. And I said to my wife, like, "Look, I like this business." We had like four units at that point. And I was like, if we're ever going to quit, or if I'm going to quit, now's the time to do it. I can get married. I can get on your benefits and we'll do it, So it took me 6 months to a year just to rip that Band-Aid off, but I did it. And then I remember it was like Labor Day of 17. And I was just like, woke up the next day after Labor Day and I was like, all right, let's hit the streets. Like, literally woke up at the same time I was waking up for my corporate job and just went out and started talking to neighbors, finding deals.
You're door knocking, Point
door
Breeze.
knocking, hardcore. I was walking up and down the Ave, like handing out cards. Like,
Dude, I'm telling you about these guys. When I first met them all, I'm like, they are like old school kind of real estate agent investors. Like, where they're really still doing it. Kind of like oblivious to like the way, like, I'm like, God damn, people in Philly don't really like that shit. Like, when people come and knock on my door, I'm like, get the hell out of here. But these guys are,
I don't even answer
these
the
guys
door.
are great. Again, great networkers, great sales guys. So,
well, my mindset too was like, I was starting to network with wholesalers, which wholesaling is like a guy would lock up a deal for 100 and then sell it to me for 120.
Okay.
Right? And they basically keep the difference. And it's just,
and
they're
these
not,
wholesalers are guys that are just plugged in the most, right? They
they're
get
just
a deal.
marketing, they're sending letters, they're, they got cold
It's
callers,
a dirty
whatever.
business.
It's very messy, right? But what I
A lot
realized,
of scumbags.
yeah, and I realized early on, like, if they're selling it to me for 120, then the buyer, or the seller could have got 120. So it felt a little gray.
Yeah, but if people are happy,
Exactly.
people are happy.
And there was guys I could meet early on that I knew were doing it the right way. They were disclosing what they were doing. And there was like guys who were shady. So I tried to align myself with the good ones.
It's
But
always awkward, like when you're going to look at a property and you're like, "Hey, you're my contractor.
Right.
Don't say a word."
Right, and I'm
You're
fucking
like,
wearing
all right.
khakis
You're,
and like a
you're
polo.
fucking lying to these
Yeah,
people,
dude,
dude.
I don't look
come
like a
on, man.
contractor.
Yeah.
But I realized, I was like, if they're getting this deal for 100 and selling it to me for 120, I can find it for 100.
Sure.
So that was the goal, like just finding good deals. I've always been like slow and steady, few deals a year, but they're very good deals. Like, I'm always buying them right and I'm fixing them up. So now,
Money's in the acquisition.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I would say 95% of the battle is finding a good deal.
So coming down from Bucks into Philly and Point Breeze, one, I would imagine that would be a scary thought process. Like, hey, I'm just going to knock on random people's door
Yeah.
to see if they're going to sell. What you have to teach your brain is, right, I'm providing a service to somebody behind this door at some point, right? Maybe not these next 10 guys, but maybe one person had a death in the family, doesn't trust anybody to sell or do anything with their money, but they need money, right? Like, that's
Bro,
the way.
third house I bought, sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
not at all.
Was on a Point Breeze block. The second house I bought was on this block in Point Breeze, right near 21st and Tasker. And I got to know all the neighbors. So one day I get a call from this 90-year-old neighbor and she's like, "Hey, house down the block, I saw their kids moving stuff out. Like, you might want to write them a letter."
You love block captains.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Hey, I mean,
Put a letter in their door. They called me next week and I negotiated and I got the deal. Now, of course, the lady who put me onto that, I gave her a little Christmas
Sure,
gift.
yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So like
Shovel
a
her
lot of the
sidewalk, give her
times,
some money.
yeah, exactly. But a lot of the times where I was knocking on doors, it wasn't, "Yo, can I buy your house?" It's, "Listen, I'm in the neighborhood. I bought that house right down the street. If you hear of anything, give me a
me know.
shout. If I buy it, might break you off a few shekels. You know what I mean? So
I mean, that's so important. Obviously, I knew that was your approach.
Hit you with
But
an
some
envelope.
people think the physical action of bang, 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 knock, I can buy. You have to
Yeah.
go there with a script pitch, and you got to pivot from there, right?
you're planting seeds, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate to say this comparison, but when I would go out in college and go to the bar, if I talk to 100 girls, maybe I'll have success one night. You know what I mean? But if you talk to 100 houses, you're going to have more success than knocking on one door. You know what I mean? So it's just planting seeds. And then the key for me was following up, right? So the people who I thought were like neighborhood savvy, whether they were a block captain, a clean out guy, somebody who I would see on the streets interacting with other people, I'd grab their number and I'd follow up once a quarter. And I would just shoot them a text. Hey, Merry Christmas. Hope your family has a good holiday. Keep me in mind if anything comes up. And you'd be surprised. Your phone starts ringing after a while, First 6 to 12 months was really hard because you don't know what to do. You just try to figure it out. But eventually you get a pipeline and a network that kind of starts bringing.
But you said a critical point. Nick does the same thing. Right, you've done work on that block. You've raised property value. You did you ran a clean job. There was no issue. So neighbors respect that, right? And people think, well, maybe they have a friend that's a real estate agent or a family member. Maybe their whole life they've been getting taken advantage of by those people. So again, you're providing a service. I rewire my brain when I make calling and prospecting. I'm not bothering somebody. I'm calling with something of value, right? And we just call it sales, right? And then guys that see what we do think, oh, well, these guys just make phone calls and play golf.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not because you get a lot of rejection, a lot of FUs, a lot of,
a whole lot of FUs.
I mean, a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
But it's your resiliency to keep going, right? Because one of them is going to turn into, like you said, a great civic leader, a block captain that's like, I trust this dude more than I trust anybody here, right? So,
dude, and those deals, it's crazy. They will tell somebody about you and then they'll tell somebody. And one thing I always knew early on, and I learned this from my days at Liberty, was do shit with integrity the right way.
No doubt.
And in Philly, the markets are so small where I would meet somebody and then they would know this person. If I had a bad reputation, I'm done, dude. So I would go above and beyond for neighbors, shovel their sidewalk, bring in their mail, whatever I got to do, right? And if I owed them money because they found me a deal, bro, I'm bringing straight hundreds in cash to their door.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing about people in Philly is they can smell bullshit a mile away.
100%.
And if you come at them with bullshit, they're telling you to get fucked.
Yeah.
You know
But
what
it's
I mean?
funny that how you said that because things are so neighborhood heavy, right? When I first started my job, I was more Manayunk, Roxborough, but it's how you do work in that business will depend on how big you can scale, right?
Yep.
So if you do right in Point Breeze and the work keeps getting over to South Philly at some point, and
that's how it is now. Some people will bring me deals because they're like, I heard you took care of this person, or I know you're doing this one, and it's cool that I don't have to get out and market myself as much anymore.
Because you've done right by so many people.
Exactly.
And again, it's yeah, sure, you're acquiring doors, you're making money, but you're helping a lot of people in the process. And that's the difference, I think, with the wholesaling kind of look at it compared to what it is you do.
It gets it for me, and it's why we've done multiple blocks where there's multiple houses, Peach and Street, we're on our 5th one.
Yeah.
Ripgo Street, we're on our 3rd one. Osborne Street, I think we did 3 or 4. So it's I always tell my guys, if you see an old lady coming in with groceries, put your tool belt down.
Yeah.
Go help her.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Clean up. Don't only clean up in front of our house. Clean up the next 2 houses up and the next 2 houses down.
Yeah.
Clean up. Be considerate. Someone people take parking pretty personal. Oh hey, you're leaving. I see you're leaving. We're gonna just park here. When you get back at the end of the day, we'll move for you.
Yeah.
We'll save it. Oh no, don't worry about it. Then you become a neighbor. You're not just there. It's their block. That's what I would say. It's their
100%.
fucking block. I'm
Someone
a visitor.
Someone early on told me too, this was great advice. It was you just want to be the guy that they think of when they hear of an opportunity.
Correct.
Right? So if they see me on the block helping people and making this house beautiful and doing it the right way, they're going to think of me, especially if I'm following up every quarter, shooting them a text, and then they hear, oh, their boy just got $1,000 because they found me a deal.
Hey, somebody can need $1,000 real quick. And look, we're trained to say the same stuff. When you think of me, think of mortgages, right?
Totally.
It's kind of what you have to say because we assume that people know what we do every day, all day. People have no clue what most of us do all day, every day. So one, you have to keep either telling them, keep selling to them, or you are referral based, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you did right by the neighbors and you guys have both, you've done this in Manayunk and Roxborough for years in East Falls. And I mean, you keep moving, you do fair amount different neighborhoods. He keeps growing to different markets because the plan never changed, right?
Yep.
It's always the same way he approaches it. So I find that interesting, but yeah, in a city of neighborhoods, it's like, it's crazy how that kind of grows.
This episode is made possible by our friends over at Milady Landscaping. Milady Landscaping is your go-to service for all of your residential and commercial landscaping and hardscaping needs. You can reach them on Instagram at Milady Landscaping, MiladyLandscaping.com, and 267-836-2102. Milady Landscaping handles all of our properties, my personal and investment properties.
It's evolved for me to where now realtors are starting to be that conduit, which is awesome, right? Like these younger guys see what I'm doing online, younger guys or gals, and they're saying, hey, you know, I have this opportunity. I'd love to learn like how you're doing it. And some of them, I'll break them off a wholesale fee. I'll give them a commission. If it's a flip, I flip a lot of properties too. I give them the outsale, right? Always. And like, they don't even need to question it. They know my integrity at this point. Like if I tell you you're going to make 10 grand assigning this deal to me, you're making 10 grand, see you at the closing table, you know? So it's cool because I'm in my late 30s now. I don't have the time or the energy to door knock and hit the streets.
And it's great to see young agents ambitious and smart enough to know like, hey, I don't need to hold on to this deal to make every single cent, right? It's like I could do 3 of these and make the same amount, sell it to somebody that I know is going to deliver, right? And get it done because we just have to pivot. It's not the same as it used to be where, hey, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to do 10 units or 10 doors per month and keep going. Real estate agents just aren't getting that volume, right? So it's like they have to think of creative ways to, one, keep their pipeline flowing and keep money coming in. And I think it's a great idea. And linking up with you guys, Nick says it to me all the time, like things like that, or invest my money with him. He's like, hey, why don't you give me 150 grand and then you could take it to here? Or if I find a deal, he's like, screw that. Don't send it. Just give it to me. We'll take care of it. Like, yeah. And then in return, he'll find a buyer for me for the same project. So like it works out. So it always shakes itself out.
It does.
May not be on that property, but it always does seem to work itself out.
And investors now send me stuff too. Like other investors like will email me and be like, hey, you know, I know Roxborough, Manayunk, and Montgomery County is your area. That ain't my area, but this wholesaler sent me this. Do you interested? Thanks for sending it, man. Appreciate
they thought of you because that's your spot.
Right? And then like Port Richmond, Fish Town, and all that stuff. Like I used to invest there, but like it's not really my thing. Like I'll buy something if it's a really good deal. But like I'll call my buddy Ryan or text my buddy Ryan like, yo, dude, here you go. Like this is good. You want this? Or he'll be like, nah, I'm not interested. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I just send it to other people. It's not in my area. I'll just forward it.
Dude, I used to be like, you know, when we had guests on from Plodify about like you should invest in your own backyard. Now I'm starting to think of like the whole, hey, do we have to do this? Because you're very analytical based, you said, right? Like you analyze the numbers quite a bit.
Yes and no. I mean, good. I have a good, you know, finance background for sure. But like when I hear guys doing like IRRs and cash on cash, these crazy metrics, I don't really
It's too
go by
much,
that,
right?
dude.
But well, one, because speed it means everything, right? If you can't acquire, what the hell does any of that mean? So you could sit there and put together the numbers. I'm a gut buyer as well. Like people say like, oh, you must have did your due diligence and all this shit. I said anytime I've ever bought anything anywhere, it's just been, hey, we got to act and we got to buy it now.
Yeah. I mean, the metrics, I'll look at, okay, if I'm going to refinance this, how much cash am I going to leave in at the end, right? How much, you know, if my mortgage payment's $1,500, what's my rent? Am I going to make at least $300 a door? Cool. You know,
we'll do a lot of the same stuff, right? Like, hey, let's park 35% of equity in here.
Right.
And if we ever need to kind of pull, we can pull.
Exactly.
Right? And the number, like 300 per door, 400 per door.
Now I'm starting to get into bigger development deals where like we may need to raise money or go to a bank. They're going to want to know those metrics a little more. So I'm studying those and learning that, right? But for my stuff, at least early on, it was like I could refi, pull all that money out, and then it was just cash flowing a few $100 every door.
But now as you try to get bigger, so that was going to actually be my next question for Dime. What's the next? Is it multifamily? Is it starting a fund? Like what is it commercial? Where are you guys going next?
I definitely don't think the fund route is for me personally.
Okay.
Just because then it's like you got to raise money, you got to put it to work. And
you got to do it for a long time, and you got a lot of people's money falling on it. And in 7 years from now, that's a big risk. You don't know where the markets are going to be in 7 years.
So, you know, candidly, like our portfolio right now could support our family enough. Not like we live this crazy wealthy lifestyle, but it's enough to support us for a few down months. So I'm really just trying to understand where I want to invest. Philly has been really difficult the past year. Really difficult. And it's not getting easier, right? you have these macro factors where rates are higher, taxes are going up, insurance is crazy, construction costs are crazy, and then I got to deal with L&I, which is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
It's a joke, too.
My property taxes are going through the roof. I have to now get my neighbors' permission to start building. Honestly, it's crazy because neighbors were like the organic way I found deals initially, and now neighbors are my number one thorn in my side because they just see me as a developer and they think I'm some greedy asshole, and I'm not. I do things the right way, but within reason, right? I'm not going to reside your whole house because we got some paint on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tough. So I'm really just like trying to get through what's in my pipeline. I have about 7 or 8 deals in the works right now. So it's enough where the market's a little frothy. A few of those are flips. I want to see where that settles in the spring, summer, and then really try to evaluate. Maybe I want to do some more in the burbs. We bought a house in the burbs, so that'll be like my test. And that's always how I like to do it. Do it for myself first. So bought the first one in Point Breeze, did it, moved there.
Live there.
We bought the next one in Passyunk, had a garage. That was a new element to me. Moved there. This one, we're doing a big house in the burbs. I'm going to GC it myself, learn the ins and outs of that, and then hopefully continue that business, right? Like we do a lot of flips as well. I didn't really mention that, but you know, instead of doing 5 flips and making 50K a pop, maybe I could just do one on the main line and make a few $100,000, you know? So trying to really just always
the entry fee is a lot more
money, right? A lot of risk too, but I don't know. I'm always trying to like evaluate those. The new development stuff I've done with a partner. So he's really great at construction. I helped more with the acquisition and the financing, but we're both, you know, spearheading those endeavors, bouncing stuff off each other all the time. His name's Justin Chabra. His company's called ACOL Investments.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was hesitant on partnerships forever, right? My dad's a solo entrepreneur. My wife finally came on board, but Justin and I, we were friends for 7-8 years. He had a very similar model, very similar portfolio to me, and we would bounce ideas off each other all the time. So naturally, like when we found the right deal, it was like, dude, let's do it together.
So you have, you know, the same ideas, and he has a totally different set of skills to get the job done.
It's similar skills, but like he focuses more on the day-to-day construction.
Okay.
I focus a little bit more on like the deal finding and all that, but we balance it so well. And it was similar to my wife, right? Like she was my therapist about my tenants. My buddy is my therapist about other deals. And then we knew how we worked together. You know, he was sending me a electrician. I would send him a plumber, whatever it was. And then I don't know, naturally it's a great partnership.
See,
so.
when you, and then you say you were hesitant at first because most people say, well, partnership means 50% of my profits are gone, right? But it allows you, again, he frees up more of your time because he does the day-to-days, means more units. So the partnership balances that.
Totally.
If they're long-term holds, you put your capital together.
Exactly.
And it's
We've been self-funding a lot of it, which is awesome, right?
That's great.
So we don't have to answer to an investor.
That's amazing.
And just to be able to like commiserate with somebody who's like, you know, one of the properties we built, our neighbor got water in her basement and she's filing a lawsuit, right? It's stressful. It's scary. To be able to have him to just bounce ideas off of and try to double team it is really valuable.
Then you sitting there stewing on it by yourself, not
Exactly.
knowing a way out. Now you're getting a different look at it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
So
great.
yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I don't know the answer of like where I want it to grow. But again, I want to try to keep it where it's small, contained, run by the family. And then if we want to hire out, we can, you know? Like,
Yeah, for sure. So now, and I guess as we kind of wrap up our interview, you said like you used to be a door knocker. You used to do all the kind of boots on the ground type thing. As you've gotten older and your family's expanded, you may not want to do that. Well, how do you stay at the same level without doing that thing?
Well, realtors are a big key, right? So I joined the Rarity team about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Jim's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I know Nick
great
Gianni.
top producing,
Yeah.
team, all great guys and gals that work on that team.
So
and you guys do throw the best parties.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Yeah.
But leadership wise, like these guys were my boys, right? I trusted them. And I realized I was a solo agent at KW. I was selling quite a bit, scaled that back because it wasn't conducive to being a dad for me. And I joined this team and half the idea was like, look, I can mentor some of these people and in turn they can bring me deals, you know? And it's kind of this symbiotic relationship of let me help you buy a rental. And, you know, if we look at a deal, I'm never the guy like, yo, let me buy this from you, dude. I'm like, how do we get this for you? And if you pass, I'll take a look at it.
Wow.
So I really try to like push rentals on a lot of the younger people, especially like they're making good money as agents.
I know, yeah.
But they're paying half that to Uncle Sam, right? So I'm trying to help them pay less taxes, build their wealth.
And they're blowing it on
beyond.
dumb shit too.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, like every realtor that starts to make some money, they buy a watch.
Totally.
Listen, it's just because we're older now and we got kids. We would all do the same thing 10 years ago if this podcast.
Dude,
was
I'm
on.
still driving a Mazda, and it was my wife's old car.
Dude, the only way to really make
the
only way to really make it is to wait. Like if you the longer you wait, the better things are going to be. Like
Totally.
so, if you push things off, you're a little frugal. Then then you are driving $100,000 trucks and shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's that you got to delay the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Right. And that's so hard in today's world when you see your peers.
Especially younger people that are so geared towards the social media and they've lived their life with instant gratification and
our
you know what I mean?
our world is very kind of like, hey, what did you do? How much did you sell? How much did you make? Who, it's not really about who you helped and things like that. It's a lot of people just self-promoting themselves. And listen, don't get me wrong, they should. A lot of these lenders and agents are fantastic at what they do. To your point, it's not conducive to everybody's lifestyle, because if you do want to close 15 loans as a real estate agent per month, you know what that entails.
Absolutely.
You're probably not seeing your family, right? And some people say, hey, that may be great, $100,000 commission check here, but when's the last time you went to dinner with your wife or
No, you're
took
right.
your kids out to a
And
game?
dude, that's a good point. Like, I'm not knocking my friends.
No, these guys are amazing.
they're
I mean,
beasts,
they're
and
total beasts, and they're great at what they do. And some can do it and do all that at the same time.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
it's not for everybody.
What I realized early on is where my skills were finding deals and acquiring the asset and being the quarterback of getting it built and finding the financing. But while I made good money being a realtor, I couldn't do both to the top tier that I wanted to do, right? So a lot of my buddies, they're big time agents. They make a lot more money than I do, and kudos to them, but that's their lane, right? I really try to stay in my lane. But yeah, a lot of these younger guys, they're finding me deals now, or they're just talking stuff through, and it's cool. It's like really a rewarding business, So
I say all the time, like you have to separate the two things with, do you want to be a super successful, high performing realtor?
Yep.
Or do you want to be a super successful, high performing investor?
Totally.
Those two things don't really work like together. And if they do, you can't be promoting each. Do you want to be a high performing realtor? Promote that. If you're going to invest, do it silently.
Yep.
Because people now clients that are investors are like, fuck him, I don't trust him. He's keeping all the good ones for himself or this and that.
100%.
If you're going to do it quietly.
100%.
Do it completely quiet. And I really think that if you want to be the best agent, like you really shouldn't have any kind of focus on I want to flip this or I want to buy this. Or do it like a normal job. Focus on a real estate agent, then take the proceeds of that and invest them.
Yep. But do it silently. You're right. And yeah, it's really hard for young agents, right? Or not even young agents, young loan officers, whoever it is. It's tricky because you sell a deal, it closes, and you're using that money to pay your bills,
100%.
to go to the bar, whatever it is. But then you got to sell the next one to keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And it's hard to get off that wheel, So what I try to tell some of these younger people that I'm helping is like, look, save a little bit from that commission check every time, put it away. And when you're ready, you'll buy a rental, and then you'll see the tax benefits next year, and then you're going to want to do it again. I can guarantee it. And then at some point, you're going to reach that crossroads where it's like, I'd rather be investing or not. And you make that decision.
And that's what we can do in our industry that, God, we're like the vets in the industry now all of a sudden. Isn't it crazy? It's like we're not the young guys. So now we're passing on, all right, to our younger guys. Like, again, when the market's rocking and rolling, real refi booms are going crazy, we're spending money like lunatics.
Totally.
So you can go in now and say, hey, those unicorn years, what we didn't do, hey, we might have bought X, Y, Z,
right,
but we didn't save shit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like when those markets flip on you, this is when you get in trouble, right? So you can lend that knowledge to these younger guys. And to your point, to get off the wheel is impossible, because once you get one deal and you make $5,000, it might go all towards your bills, your lifestyle. And it's like, how do I kick this off and take less to make more, right? That's the hardest part of our thing.
It's funny you say that, because I there was times when I was in my 20s where I was like, God, I wish I would have just out of college, been an entrepreneur and just risked it. But at the same time, I was very fortunate, right? I had this W-2 job. So I learned how to save money. Mm-hmm. And then I was always thinking buy investments first as opposed to being a realtor first. And again, I respect the realtors. It's just hard to get off that cycle of next deal needs to close to afford the next, So I was very fortunate that my mindset was always investment first,
So do you have a strict rule with your dad being an accountant? Has he influenced you at all? Do you have a strict rule of, as proceeds come in, do you have hey, 30% for me and my wife, 30% for future investments, 30% for like 401ks, retirement stuff. Do you have any kind of stuff like that?
It's a good question. I'm a little more lax than probably should be. I actually called him the other day. I was like, what's this penalty? He's like, yeah, you should be paying your taxes quarterly, not annually. So they fine you. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I know that for next time, you know? But, you know, my dad really like lets me, he trusts that I know what I'm doing and I run my business. Now, where it's getting interesting is like I have 50-ish units, right? My dad still does my taxes. And it's like this weird kind of dynamic of like he's super helpful, loves like talking shop, but he's getting older. He's scaling back his accounting business. And it's like, do I say to him like, look, you know, I might
have I outgrown you?
Yeah. Or like, I don't want to burden you with you're scaling your business back and now you're spending half your time on my portfolio. I don't want to do that anymore. So we're probably going to have some deep conversations pretty soon, you know. But
I outgrew my dad because my dad did HVAC for a long period of time, or for my whole life, basically. And he was doing a lot of mine. And then I was like, he's like, man, you're really fucking busy. And I'm like, hey, Dad, do you think I should just hire another company? He was like, I thought he was gonna be like pissed, like
I thought
no.
You never asked.
And he was like, man, I think that's a great fucking idea. You know what I mean? Like so, like he was like, I can't fucking keep up with you, kid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely something I've been considering, and it's like, you know, it's a legitimate business now. So not saying my dad's not legit, but I need a real estate tax guy who knows different.
Also, I mean, a good opportunity for like my father-in-law, he was an accountant for years. Like he does my books, and then we give them to the accountant. So it's like he's teaching my wife all that kind of stuff, and then we give it to the accountant. So like if your dad wants to scale back, or if say your dad wants to retire, you can be like, hey, Dad, do you want to like run my books? And like I'll give you this a little bit of money a week. You work whenever you want. Do you want to? So there's opportunities for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. He's the man. I mean, I don't know if you've ever met my dad.
No, but will you be down the game today? Because I will meet him. No, you know what? But you mentioned this earlier. Like he's probably proud and happy to do something like that. Think about it. I mean, 50 doors is quite an accomplishment, and to see children go head first, leave a comfortable, cushy Wall Street job, to go take a risk, and like it's quickly blew up, dude. Like you see.
I mean, it's been a decade, right? And that's why I want to stress to your audience too, of like everybody's like grow, fast, scale, higher. I was always slow and steady, right? If it's 10 years, I got 50 doors. What's that, 5 a year?
Yeah. And you said you even started off with 1 a year. That was it.
It was 1, 2, and then, you know.
Stay in your lane and refine your process.
That's it, man.
That's what I love.
Like, I don't live beyond my means. We like to build ourselves really nice houses because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Very particular. But, like, I've always kind of been slow and steady. I'll take my singles or doubles and know that my risk is mitigated. And dude, don't get me wrong. Like the market is tricky right now. There's still some sleepless nights I'm having because I'm scared of certain things. I don't know what's going to happen, you know, but at least I control that destiny a little bit. I mean, I can't bring buyers into my flips, but realistically, if I'm buying deals right, I can at least.
Stuff's a little slow right now to sell.
It's really slow.
I mean, it's also too like, so it's, we just got done with the elections. Like that was a big thing. People were sitting on their hands. Now that it's over, I'm starting to see more people get out there. The other thing that my wife had a good point was, she's like, Halloween used to be a 1-day event. It's like a 3-week fucking thing now with kids. You know what I mean? There's like all these trunk or treats and there's this, that at school. And so it's like stretched out. There's multiple fucking costumes. So it's like this time of year it gets a little tricky. And then you have this lull of space, and then which now is filled by the election this year, but then you go into Thanksgiving. Then you have this lull of space. Then you have Christmas. And then I've always found that once Super Bowl hits,
it's always after Super Bowl.
It's fucking wide open, bro.
But
it's
you
like,
guys
boom,
said Philly
go.
in general is difficult right now. So I guess, would you ever explore different markets,
Definitely.
like vacation homes or, shore towns, mountain homes, things like that?
I mean, I think my forte is really like I've done really well with like the small to mid-sized multifamily. So our new construction, we did a 9-unit.
Oh, wow.
I did a 6-unit. And these are good areas, like our 9 units in Queen Village, great area.
Oh, great.
Beautiful
So
building.
tell us a little bit about the multi. Are you grabbing a single? Or are you ripping it down? Or are you grabbing already pre-established construction?
That 9-unit was a really unique deal. An agent brought it to me on Jim's team. His name's Phil Maizano. He's a beast.
Yeah.
It was a duplex that was on the MLS, but it had a 65-foot backyard. And we realized the zoning was RM1, which means you can do multi there. So
by right 4 units.
By right, we could do 6 units.
Okay.
And then I was studying the zoning code a little bit, learning from different developers that we could then upzone it. It's called a low income housing bonus. Mm-hmm. So by offering one low income unit, we were able to do 3 more total units. So that 6 turned into 9. One of the 9 has to be low income. And low income, basically, we charge like $1,000 versus $1,800 for a 1-bedroom.
But that could also be that doesn't mean it's like some Section 8 person has no money and they're going to destroy your place. It could be like it could be somebody that's right out of college, lost their job, and then now they're on government assistance.
We were struggling to market that because we were afraid a huge 1-bedroom with a balcony in Queen Village, we're going to get like 1,000 people reaching out, right? And they have to meet certain income requirements or whatever. So my wife's like, I don't know how to manage this while still, being able to do my other job. There's just going to be an influx of interest. So I said, why don't we just do some guerrilla marketing, right? Go to some local businesses, hand out flyers, and talk to people. And we ended up, I don't want to say where, but it's like a local restaurant. We found a manager who had a tough year, didn't make so much money, and they're living there, and they get a great deal.
And they're probably speaking your praises to everybody that comes in a restaurant.
And if you treat them well, they're probably going to stay there for 2 or 3 years while they're getting on their
feet. They'll probably stay for the next decade because it's so cheap.
It's so cheap.
And
but it allows you to make money. You had a duplex that is now a 9-unit place. So
now that was a big deal, right? Like Justin and I did that together. We self-funded it, which was huge.
Sure.
But we borrowed money from the bank, and at the time, rates were 4 or 5%. Now our rate is 10%, right? Mm-hmm. But we're finished. We have 8 of the 9 units leased, and it's also architecturally, it's a beautiful building. We get neighbors coming by all the time. Like, this is a great addition to the neighborhood. That feels good.
Yeah, there's some pride. Yeah,
city,
absolutely. You could drive by, walk past with your kids, and say like, "Hey, Daddy did that." Yeah, that's a good feeling. I know you do that as well. Like, and you take your kids to your job sites and you show them. It's like, one, it's important that for them to see what it is we do.
Totally.
But it does give you a sense of pride that you're like, shit, man, I can't believe I did that building right there. But it like looks great. And
are you investing in anything other than real estate? Like, are you doing like 401ks, whole life insurance policies? Like, what
not really.
Really?
I should diversify, especially with a finance background. Like, I should, but I just really, when I went into real estate, I went all in. Like, literally, I sold my stock portfolio.
You're not even doing like IRAs or anything.
I have like a self-directed IRA, but I'm normally investing that in real estate.
Yeah.
It's just, look, I'm scared to be in one product type for sure. I'm definitely scared to be in one city for sure. But I know it so well that I can control it, right? When I was investing in stocks, it was like throwing darts and guessing for me.
Sure.
So
I think it's for everybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, eventually, look, I'm going to do some 529 accounts for like my kids and all that stuff. But
you should start that shit.
But you say you can, hey, I can do it now and I can make more money right
here's
second.
A cool
eventually,
story,
it'll change.
Either that or whole life. So you should start some of that shit right now.
You're right. Here's a cool story, though. I bought a house in Grays Ferry from some wholesalers. This was in 2018, maybe 16, 17, 18, somewhere around that time frame. It was the guys from Axe Philly. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
Tyler Small and Andrew Yeager. And I just became friendly with them. Bought this house in Grays Ferry for like $65,000. And all it needed was a roof. It was in decent shape. It was livable. The house then appraised for like $115,000. So instantly refied, got my money back. Cool, right? And I did a huge portfolio refi a few years ago. And I put that on a 15-year note just so I could pay it down quickly, And my idea was like, my son is 3. By the time that 15-year period is over, we're going to own this asset. And if it's worth north of 200, 250 grand,
there's his college fund.
Maybe there's his college fund. Maybe. Who knows what college will be. But that was always kind of my mentality of like, I can control this. I know it. I'm in the biz. So buy good deals and then the rest.
Kyle and I just had this conversation yesterday at lunch. He said, I mentioned something like some goals of mine and I want to give my kid $250 for college. He said, $250? He was like, what? He was like, give him real estate. And that's what I had meant. Just like, hey, I want to buy assets and have them paid off. And then they can choose either to run the business, right? Like, hey, this is your asset. Do you want to be a property manager? Do you want to live there? Do you want to sell it?
Yep.
Like, what do you want to do with it? Let's see what you got, right? And kind of hand it to them. To your point, you don't want to give your kids everything, but like one door, but then again, there's something to be said about buying your first.
I think they're going to work for it though. Like my goal is like, I don't want to just say to my kids, all right, at that point, maybe I have 100 units and I say, all right, here's 30 for you, 30 for you. Like, that's not how it's going to be. It's going to be, look, if you want to learn this, I'll teach you, but you're going to work. You're going to go over on the weekends and sweep up. You're going to do some lawn care. You know what I mean? Like, they'll learn, and I don't think I'm going to hand them an asset, but eventually one day, if they're helping to run the business, there'll be a succession plan in place if they want to do it, like
Sure.
you said.
I heard of a plan, and I don't know if we've touched on this before on the show, but so this guy's talking about, he says, you buy you buy a property, right? You put it in LLC and you put it for your kid.
Yep.
Say you have three, hopefully you can get three, right? So you put the property in an LLC, and that's for child A, right? So when they're 18 and they're going to go to college, you sell that property,
Yep.
you 1031 exchange it, and you put it into a property near the university that they are going to live at. Now they have friends rent the other rooms from them. Then when they're done college, you sell that and you 1031 it into something else for them, or give them like, hey, here you go. This is for you. And that the proceeds of that would hopefully pay for their college, sustain their living in college, and pay for everything. So it's like, hey, you can buy a property now, in 18, if the child is 1, in 18 years, it's going to most likely double or triple in value,
exactly.
right? And that's just real estate in general. So you do that. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a really simple way to think of it.
Yeah.
And you're not trusting a financial advisor. You're not trusting a market here or there to put money into, or a 529. It's like a hard asset.
Totally.
And now it's going to be that kid's. And that's pretty genius.
Yeah. What was hard for me was like when I quit my job, like I said, I sold my stocks. I tried to make myself as liquid as possible. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, well, I got these deals, but I heard of this deal and I got to find the money for that. And then it's just like, I don't know. I'm consumed by real estate every day. So that's where I try to stay in my lane again. I'd like to diversify. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but I mean, it lends to so many different avenues, right? I mean, as you kind of keep building your portfolio and building your wealth, those things are going to just come up, right? You're going to have to start selling things off. You're going to have to diversify.
Yeah.
And again, I keep going to different markets because we've had a company on earlier that just really piqued my interest. Like, again, I feel the squeeze in the Philly market. I do lending in the Philly market. There's 32 offers on one house. There's 18 on one. There's 23 on the other.
Yeah.
So it's brutal from like us from a lending standpoint. So I know from an investor to win the deal has got to be extremely challenging.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm always curious just to
going back to that question. So like I have this experience with whether it's 9-unit, a triplex, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd like to take those skills into different areas, right? Whether that's like going over to Jersey and buying like a garden style apartment building that needs like light upgrades or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm doing on the construction side and the financing side. So now I really just need to acclimate myself with newer areas and markets.
And you mentioned a good point, like a university, like right over Rutgers, Camden. Like you could do a 10-unit right there and probably rent it out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you hiring all GCs to do all the work? Like you're not managing?
So I actually just got licensed as a GC, and I have great subs. So like basically hire all those guys. And really that was a shift I had in my business about a year ago where I realized like if I can save 25, 30 grand a house and I'm doing 5 houses, that's 150 grand. That's a salary right there, right? And not to mention, I didn't love the GCs I was working with. They were a pain in the ass. They were too slow. They were giving me excuses. I know the timelines better than they do. And I'm like, I can manage this project better than they can, Now, look, I'm not super technically savvy when it comes to construction. So a lot of times I got to lean on my network. But, if I can get 90% of the way there and get a job done quicker in 2-3 months, that's going to save me a shitload of money. Not only on the GC fees, but in interest too. So I've now managed most of my jobs for the past year or so. And like I said, we bought a house in the burbs. I'm going to GC that by choice so I can learn how to do a house.
Are you
going
to live in the one in the burbs?
We are.
Where is it at?
It's in Balkenwood.
Oh, nice, dude.
It's nice.
Right in the burbs. It's like right on the line of Philly.
It's close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love how we all consider these neighborhoods.
I was like, if I'm going to leave Philly, I need to be within 30 minutes of the city. So it worked. It was a lot more than I wanted to spend on a house, but.
All right. So Jordan, you said you were exploring the multi-families in different markets potentially. Like why multifamily instead of the single family now? Is it just the return on investment or is it just something that you wanted to scale up to?
Yeah, it's just scale. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not going to go to a brand new neighborhood and do a single. It's just, there's not enough margin there.
There's not enough margin in it
And
anymore.
if I
Is that just
can-
construction costs being too high, acquisition being too high, all factors in? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just, bigger asset. There's more skin on the bone.
More partnerships
more
coming
meat on
up,
the
or
bone.
you just kind of see
No,
how that goes?
Probably
Yeah.
not. I mean, like I'd explore it for the right opportunity, but me and Justin got a good thing going on, and yeah, slow and steady, man. Like that's why people are like, "What are your goals?" And like, "Oh, you did this last year, you should do this." And it's like, no, man. I like to
It's like you guys are already doing really, really well, right?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
like,
It's not a tech business that you have to double every year.
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to meet like shareholders requests and you know. But so you say real estate agents come to you, bring you deals. Who else do you want to kind of reach out to, and where can we find you, and like how do we get deals your way? Because I mean that's your business.
Yeah, my company's called Dime Properties, DIME, like the coin. You can find me on Instagram. You know, we're putting out all our product on Instagram. So whether it's a flip, a rental, you'll see it on there.
Yeah, you guys have a great social media presence. I know you do a lot in the South Philly area.
Yeah.
Is there other areas or other guys, if they're looking to buy or sell, like just give you a call? Like,
Yeah, South Philly proper. So anywhere, you know, we're pretty much south of Washington, but we'll look anywhere south of South Street, pretty much. Doing a lot in Fishtown, a lot in Fairmount. So those A- neighborhoods that I kind of talked about. But
That's great.
Yeah, find me on Instagram. I'm also on the Rarity Real Estate team. We are a behemoth of a team in the city, and they're growing. So there's a lot of good agents there I can refer you to. But yeah, just wholesome guy and just
Yeah, I mean,
grow,
I was
man.
going to say, honestly, now I've known you for about 7 or 8 years. I'm really excited for your success. You became, you're an awesome family man. I know that about you, but really onward and upward, dude. I'm looking forward to kind of working with you guys in the future, getting you some business. And you got to show us what this barrel looks like when it comes out, because this is what people want to see. When, hey, I want to be the GC of a project. It's a lot more than you think it is, right?
Especially when it's your own, man.
And when it's your own, but you say your attention to detail sharp. So
It's a nightmare.
report back. Let us know how you're making out. And thanks for coming back on the show.
Absolutely. Thank
All right.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Go Birds, baby.
All right. Go Birds.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.